We all have the same mandate, right? The Great Commission. But if we're being honest with ourselves, the way we fund that mission often feels, well, fragile. It's totally dependent on the next donation, the next fundraising campaign, the ups and downs of the economy. But what if there's another way? What if the original blueprint for a tough, resilient, self-funding mission has been hiding in plain sight in our Bibles this whole time, just waiting for us to dust it off? What if we've forgotten how to build something that lasts? So let's ask the hard question. In a world that's getting more chaotic and unpredictable by the day, is the way we're doing things really built to last? Is our mission model built on solid rock, or is it built on sand? When we rely only on external donations, we're basically hoping the tide doesn't come in. Now, this isn't a critique of anyone's faith, not at all. It's a question of strategy, a question of wise stewardship. Are we actually using all the tools God has given us to build something truly durable for the gospel? Okay, so let's put these two models side by side, because they represent two totally different ways of thinking. On the left, you've got the traditional donation model. It's funded from the outside, which makes it super vulnerable when the economy gets shaky. And look, it can sometimes create a culture where just staying faithful feels like a win. But the model on the right, the Redemptive engine, it's funded from the inside through its own sales. It's built for resilience from the ground up, and it shifts the whole focus to faithfulness that's proven by tangible, accountable results. The work is the ministry, not just something that fundraising supports. And this, right here, this is the hidden tax on our mission. The constant, grinding need to fundraise forces our best people, our most gifted missionaries and leaders, into an impossible choice. Either do the ministry you were called to, or spend all your time raising the money for the ministry. It creates this scarcity mindset that can quietly pull us off mission. The work becomes about sustaining the organization instead of the organization existing to do the work. So what's the fix? Is it some brand new, complex corporate strategy? Nope. The answer is actually to go back, way back. This isn't about inventing something new. It's about recovering something ancient. We're going back to the original blueprint, laid out by the greatest missionary entrepreneur who ever lived, the Apostle Paul. Now, you have to let this quote sink in, because it completely flips the script on how we view Paul. For him, making tents wasn't a side hustle. It wasn't plan B just to pay the bills. It was a central, indispensable part of his strategy. His business was his platform. It was his credibility. It was, as the authors say, just as important to his witness as the sermons he preached. And you can just see the strategic genius in this, can't you? By working, he could preach the gospel without charge. Boom! That completely silenced anyone who wanted to accuse him of being just another traveling speaker in it for the money. It gave his message incredible weight. It let him model a godly work ethic for new believers. And it gave him access to people and places he never would have reached otherwise, all while paying his own way and supporting his team. It was brilliant.
And this wasn't just some historical one-off that only Paul did. This idea of integrated work and mission, it pops up all through church history. You see it with Paul's tent making around 50 AD. You see it again in the 1700s with the Moravians, who built these incredible self-sustaining mission communities. William Carey did it in India, weaving industry into his mission work. So this idea has deep, deep roots, long before it got a formal name from the Lausanne movement in 2004.
So, okay, we've seen the history. But what's the theology? What's the engine driving this whole thing? Because it's not just about being practical. This whole model is built on three foundational biblical mandates that, if we're honest, the modern church has kind of pulled apart and put in separate boxes. Let's break this down, because this is the bedrock. First, you have the creation mandate, right from Genesis. God made us in his image, and he's a creator. So he calls us to create value, to build, to bring order out of chaos. Our work itself is holy. Second, the great commandment. We have to love our neighbor. Well, how do you do that Monday to Friday? Through your work, with integrity, with justice, by creating products and services that help people flourish. And third, the Great Commission. The ultimate why behind everything we do is to make disciples. See, they're not three separate callings. They are one single integrated mission. And this quote from David W. Jones just nails it. It connects all the dots perfectly. Making disciples isn't something separate from our call to cultivate and create in the world. It's the ultimate point of it. We bring order from chaos, both in the material world through our work and in the spiritual world through the gospel. Okay, so that's the why. We've got the apostolic precedent. We've got the theological foundation. Now let's get down to brass tacks. What does this model actually look like on the ground today?
The modern term for this is business as mission, or BAM for short. And let's be super clear about the key words here: real and. We're talking about real, viable, profitable businesses, not fake ones, not charities disguised as businesses. And they have a real, intentional kingdom of God purpose. One is not a cover for the other. The business itself, when done with excellence, for the glory of God, becomes the vehicle for the mission. So, to make this work, you need a different scorecard, a different way to measure success. A lot of good companies today talk about the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. And that's great. We should care about all those things. But for a redemptive engine, that's incomplete. There has to be a fourth, non negotiable bottom line. And that fourth bottom line, the one that changes everything, is spiritual transformation. A business as mission company has to be financially profitable or it's not sustainable. It must be socially responsible, creating good jobs and blessing its community. It should be environmentally conscious, but its ultimate success, its North Star, is measured by how intentional and effective it is at creating opportunities for discipleship and evangelism. This is the guardrail. This is what keeps the Great Commission front and center. And please, don't think this is some fringe idea. This is a global movement being championed by some of the most serious, thoughtful mission and theology organizations on the planet, like the Lausanne Movement and the Theology of Work Project. They are pounding the drum, calling the church to wake up and see the marketplace as one of the most strategic mission fields we have. Okay, let's hit pause for a second, because anytime you start mixing faith and finance, red flags start going up. And you know what? They should. We need to be discerning. So let's proactively tackle the two biggest objections people usually have right now. First up, the big one. Wait a minute, is this just the prosperity gospel in a business suit? And the answer is an emphatic absolute no. Here's the difference, and it's everything. It's about the direction of service. The prosperity gospel uses the gospel to serve the business, to achieve the goal of personal wealth. This redemptive model uses the business to serve the gospel, to achieve the goal of funding the mission. One puts the self at the center. The other puts the Great Commission at the center. They are theological opposites. Okay, the second major concern, and this is a really important one, especially if you're a pastor. Does this whole idea threaten tithing and the financial health of the local church? It's a vital question. And the answer is a clear, resounding no. This is a both and, not an either or strategy. Tithing and generously supporting your local church is a biblical command. It is absolutely essential. Full stop. Business as mission isn't about redirecting those funds. It's about creating new wealth, new resources, new funding streams for the global mission. The goal is to expand the entire resource pie so more kingdom work can get done everywhere. Now, if we're going to build these kinds of redemptive engines and build them to last, we have to do more than just change our models. We actually have to change our language. We need to redeem our business vocabulary to make sure it's always serving the mission and not the other way around. So check this out. Instead of just talking about profit or ROI, we start talking about sustainable provision or mission fuel. Instead of scaling, which can just mean getting bigger for its own sake, we talk about expanding kingdom impact. See the shift? Market share becomes redemptive influence. And we don't plan an exit strategy, we plan for succession for stewardship. This isn't just playing with words. This kind of language shapes the culture and keeps our true purpose right in front of us. So what does this mean for you right now? Well, if you're a pastor, I want to challenge you. Start looking at the entrepreneurs and professionals in your church not just as potential donors, but as frontline missionaries who need to be equipped and deployed. If you're a professional, a business person, see your work as your ministry. Your desk is your altar. And for the church as a whole, it is time for us to embrace godly wealth creation as a powerful tool for our mission of transforming the world. The reality is, our churches are full of gifted, godly, creative wealth creators. For far too long, we've sort of relegated them to the finance committee. It's time to call them to the front lines. It's time to unleash them for the mission. So I'm just going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. What if the most powerful, untapped resource for fulfilling the Great Commission isn't actually in a seminary classroom, but is sitting in an office or a workshop right now? What if the entrepreneurs, the builders, the problem solvers in our congregations are our most strategic, most underutilized missionaries? What could God accomplish if we finally set them free to build for His kingdom?